Hi, I'm Madison, and our group is going to be talking about Garth Drabinsky, and I'm going to be focusing on the background of his work and life before the controversy happened. So, to start, he was born in Toronto in 1949, and he graduated from the University of Toronto with a Bachelor of Laws degree in 1973. And then he entered the entertainment business in 1978 as an independent commercial film producer, to which he produced multiple films such as The Disappearance in 1977, The Silent Partner in 1978, The Challenging in 1980, Tribute again in 1980, The Amateur in 1981, Losing It in 1983, The Gospel of John in 2003, and Half-Light in 2004. And then in April of 1979, he co-founded Cineplex Theaters with Nat Taylor. And by 1984, it acquired the Canadian Odeon theater chain, so it became a major player in the theater industry. And he actually left the company in 1989. But basically, the company, it built or refurbished several theaters, including Oriental Theater in Chicago. And the company's productions won 19 Tony Awards and was nominated 61 times. And the company produced Phantom of the Opera, so in 1989, and that was the year that he left. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat in 1992. Kiss of the Spider Woman, again in 1992. Showboat in 1993. Sunset Boulevard in 1995. Ragtime 1996. And Foss in 1999. And they also won a Tony Award for Best Musical Revival. And then in 2002, Drabinsky was involved with Visual Bible International, which was a Toronto-based film production and directing market company. And he was supposed to be a creative consultant and build like business models for the company. But instead, he was actually running the company behind the scenes. And well, that brings us into our controversy.
Hi, my name is Jake, and I'll be talking about the controversy mostly behind Garth Drabinsky's the whole scandal and some of the things that were happening around this time. So basically, Garth Drabinsky was part of this company called Levent, which became a publicly traded company in 1993 and seen amazing success. Basically brought Broadway to Canada. It brought the Phantom of the Opera, Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, Showboat, and Ragtime, all to Toronto through the theater company. However, as time kind of went on, basically Levent started seeing less and less success. More people started to go to different media, more Broadway shows were going to different theater companies. And so the company executives basically were like, hey, we want to sell the company, and the shareholders agreed. And so in 1998, they sold the company, and they sold it to a former Disney executive, Michael Ovitz, and he became the helm. And then basically he was like, hey, we're gonna audit your finances, and we're gonna make sure everything is good. And then they were like, oh no, you can't audit our finances. That's not nice. And so the business partners were accused of directing accounting staff to improperly record expenditures to boost the company's financial health. So basically what they did is they told all these accountants, and they were like, so hey, you know how we made $1,000 for the show? Well, let's actually say we made $150,000, and everyone will be hunky-dory, and people will invest in us, and then we'll be all good. And so the Crown argued that as a result of all these inflated profit reports, investors and lending institutes contributed more than $500 million to the company, even though they weren't really investing in what it was worth, because they were lying about all these profit reports. And defense lawyers for the two men argued that their clients had no idea records were being improperly recorded, and blamed their former vice president of finance, Gord Eckstein, and other senior executives for making the changes without their consent. So basically they said, we did that, but it actually wasn't us, it was other people. So they a lot of this whole scandal is basically them scamming all these shareholders and investors out of their money to put on shows and to eventually sell the company to the former Disney executive. Yeah, so that's kind of where most of the scandal comes from Garth Drabinsky. But there's a lot of other things that we can play in a fun little game show. Hello, everybody. My name is Jake, and welcome to Guess That Thing.
Yeah, you love Guess That Thing!
I'm gonna ask you guys a question, and you're gonna be guessing that thing. Now, what does Garth Drabinsky and every old, white, Canadian executive CEO have in common? All right, time's up. Let's go to the answer. Oh, it's being controlling and dismissive of their employees.
Oh, yeah,
Congratulations.
yeah,
That is my second
woohoo.
choice. Yeah, so there's this man named Average, and basically, through his multiple decades of firsthand experience of working with and for Mr. Drabinsky, Average here uses his unique position to document some of the practices he observed of watching Drabinsky do his job, and these include experience of being forced to deal with Garth's people. These employees he describes as all suffering from Stockholm Syndrome as the consequences of being made to regularly endure the behavior of tyrannical behavior as a control freak with a savage temper. Now that's what I want as a boss, all my CEOs, all my employees to describe me as. Average would say, having been beaten and pissed on by Garth, they were eager to beat and piss on everyone else behind them. These established multiple reportings by several individuals that substantiated Drabinsky's conduct as overt and well-recognized behaviors. So basically, everyone just kind of got used to how much of an asshole Garth Drabinsky was being, and so instead of like trying to get rid of him or complain, they just started being dicks to everyone else. It thus became unambiguous that they are far beyond anomalies to be dismissed as just one woman's unfortunate experience, and we'll talk about that in a sec. Garth was known objectively to not treat his employees well. For instance, in frequent, long, and arduous meetings, if someone made a mistake or failed to answer a question, Garth took that person down ruthlessly. Not just for one error, but for like everything. Like they would make like they would just stutter, like maybe I just stuttered right now, and he would just like go to town on like everything about them. And this brings us into one of the most damning evidence of this, and that was by one of the principal female actresses of Cain during the run of Phantom of the Opera. So during her time as the principal female lead between 1989 and 1992, she experienced prolonged excessive brutish conduct and violence on stage from her co-star, Colm Wilkinson. And this happened in tandem with the management and Mr. Drabinsky's callous indifference to these matters. He just didn't care that all this fucking bad shit was going on. That enabled the perpetuation of hostile working environments. And then Cain spoke up and was like, hey, this is wrong. I don't like how I'm being treated. And you want to know what they did? Well, if you said Terminator contract, then you would be right. You know, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and Garth just seems like not a good dude.
Okay, so why is this topic important? Well, I think that this topic is very important because obviously this producer was very big in the theater industry. He was very successful. He's very famous. Allowing him to get charged and showing that to other producers or actors or theater companies, and him getting charged for fraud just shows how serious of a matter this actually is, and that no one is above the law. So for that reason, I feel like it is very good that he got charged regarding the whole situation. Fraud is wrong. You should never do that, obviously. And why now? Why is this topic important right now? With COVID, things have been horrible in the theater, as we all know. Theater companies have been shutting down left and right, along with budget cuts that have been happening. It's just been really hard to stay afloat. So I feel like now more than ever, companies might be in the need, or producers might feel like they should commit fraud in a sense to make more money, keep their business afloat, just like kind of dance around some of the numbers. But I feel like this example is very relatable because obviously someone that was very high up there did this and they got caught, so this is like a deterrent for them to do the same even in these hard times. So that's why I think that this article is very important and why it should be discussed now.